Dr. Sharvil Patel, Chairman, Mr. Ganesh Nayak, Director, Mr. Umesh Parekh, CFO, and Mr. Vishal Gaur, Senior Vice President, Corporate Finance at Cadila Healthcare Limited. The quarter gone by was an unprecedented one due to the spread of COVID-19 pandemic, impacting our operations in early part of the quarter. As stated earlier, we were agile and quick to respond to the unexpected situation of lockdown by resolving the logistic challenges in getting the required approvals for restarting our manufacturing plants and operating our C&F warehouses. Majority of our distributors could also get permissions from local authorities to open their business places. We at Zydus Wellness Limited have been committed towards safety of all our employees and business partners and ensured that all required safety measures were implemented across all our locations. While the sales for the month of April 20 was impacted due to COVID situation, the month of May saw a revival of sales growth followed by double-digit growth in June. We have also witnessed softening of the key raw material prices during the quarter. Let me take you through the highlights of the consolidated financial performance of quarter 1, financial year 2020-21. During the first quarter of financial year 21, our total income from operations stood at 5,374 million rupees. EBITDA was up by 0.3% year-on-year to 1,223 million rupees. PBT was up by 4.1% year-on-year to 831 million rupees. Net profit stood at 892 million rupees, up by 10.9% year-on-year in spite of decline in sales, mainly due to better control over costs. With that, let me share some of the highlights of the operations for the quarter gone by. We continued our thrust on marketing initiatives to grow the categories and increase market share for our brands during the quarter gone by. To narrate a few, on the Glucon-D front, the quarter gone by was impacted adversely due to COVID, lockdown, then followed by Cyclone Amphan and early monsoon in some part of the country. Even in these adverse times, we continue to use digital medium to drive relevance of the brand. On the Complan front, during the quarter gone by, we launched Complan NutriGo, a scientifically formulated range of health food drinks for toddlers, which is 2 to 6 year old kids, with a balance of 50-50 proteins of whey and casein. We continue to invest in the brand on digital media to increase the relevance of the brand during the lockdown across the country. On Sugar Free front, during the quarter gone by, Sugar Free has witnessed a very strong growth, which was backed by the launch of digital campaign Stay Home, Stay Fit Challenge to drive relevance of the brand. We reactivated the media campaign on Sugar Free Green to further drive our efforts of expanding the sugar substitute category. On the Sugar Light front, the brand witnessed very good traction despite COVID-19 and related lockdown. The growth was supported with media inputs through our campaign and digital media. On the Nycil front, the brand was supported with social media promotions during the quarter. New hand sanitizer launch was supported by digital marketing campaign to spread the awareness. On the Everyuth front, being in the personal care space and discretionary nature, the brand has seen substantial reduction in offtake during the lockdown period. Post commencement of unlock in June, the brand has seen revival. It was supported with digital marketing initiatives to sustain consideration even in the lockdown period. On the Nutralite front, COVID lockdown impacted brand performance severely in institutional segment. Retail business recovered to some extent in May and June. To drive the brand relevance during lockdown, we used the digital media there as well. New product launches. Amidst the COVID situation, the company's R&D team worked relentlessly on innovations which helped launch of new products under different brands. Starting from January this year, we've seen company has launched a series of new products as follows. Sugar Free Green, which was relaunched with a new formulation and improved taste under the artificial sweeteners category at the beginning of the calendar year. This launch was followed by hand sanitizer under the brand Nycil. Nycil sanitizer is a proof of a company's quick planning and execution which helped commercialize the production within a span of 2 weeks. Further, with the launch of Complan NutriGro, the company entered into the toddlers health food drink segment. The product will be marketed and distributed using doctor promotion route, using the medical marketing route. To participate in a market dominated by sachets in the lower income segment, the company is launching 75-gram sachets, which will further help strengthen the Complan brand to gain market share. To expand the product basket under Nutralite brand, the company is launching Nutralite Choco Spread in 2 flavors. It is initially being launched on the e-commerce platform and subsequently will be expanded to other channels as well. As we speak, we are about to roll out our latest offering, Glucon-D Immunovolts, under the brand Glucon-D, which are tasty energy bites and boost immunity as they are fortified with vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc and glucose. With the COVID crisis situation continuously evolving, we continue to be optimistic and agile in our agenda, which has also helped the company to launch series of new products in quick succession and adapt to the new normal. Thank you, and we will now start the Q&A session. Over to the coordinator for the Q&A.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may please press star and 1. The first question is from the line of Avnish Roy from Edelweiss. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. My first question is on Complan. So obviously, Q1 was a good quarter from a demand perspective for Complan kind of product. So if you benchmark against the industry, do you have some data points on how you have done versus the industry? And you said the 75-gram sachet will help you win market share. So again, if you can elaborate why, because most other players also have the sachet. So is it pricing or is it the chemist strong linkage which you have?
So, first of all, we saw some loss in April month on Complan, which was because the trade was completely not, supply chains were down. But we've seen good traction on Complan in May and June, and we believe it will be in line with the industry growth. Talking about the sachets, what we're launching is a 75-gram sachet at 30 rupees. Our focus on this is not just at a competitive level. We believe that we have not been participating in this part of the segment, which is a set of consumers who want to use Complan but have not been serviced. So these are reaching out to the unserved consumers who have a latent demand, and we believe it will help us increase our penetration of the brand. And Complan being a stronger nutrition space should help us gain some shares there.
So 2 follow-ups there. One, GSK said that they have grown for the entire quarter at 5%. If you could tell us how your growth has been, and how much is the LUP percentage currently out of Complan?
So overall growth is for us is almost flat because we lost in April, but at an overall quarter level. But that could be a function of how much is the pipeline and how much is what. We will not be able to comment on that. But we believe it should be closer to in line with the category. LUP right now we are not participating sufficiently in LUP. We have a small presence in South with a 10 rupee sachet, which also we are evaluating, and we'll come back on that. This is largely a kind of sachets which sell more in north and west part of the country and constitute more than 10 to 15% of the category size in these markets. This will help us participate in that more constructively.
My second question is on other categories. So we have seen very strong growth for honey players for this quarter, 70% growth, and that was in fact impacted because of glass bottle short supply. So because consumers are focusing on fitness, the non-diabetes customers who are using, say, sugar-free, is there some switch from them that product to honey? I understand good growth, but are you seeing this trend? And second, Nutralite, what is the B2B percentage of sales?
So overall, sugar-free has had a fantastic run last quarter. It is hard to isolate the diabetic and non-diabetics. These are things that we are revalidating, but we believe consumers have become, as the consumption of home consumption has gone up, and this has helped us. We believe also being more health conscious, this is helping us, both amongst diabetics as well as non-diabetics. Diabetics may have been a larger share of contribution to growth for us. I cannot comment on how honey has reacted because we have no understanding of that. We don't participate. The other point was on Nutralite. We've seen degrowth in that segment, largely the institutional segment, because we serve almost 75% of the brand served hotels, restaurants, and dhabas, the food service. That has substantially gone down, and that while there's an improvement from April to June, but it is still much lower than it still does not cover up the gap that we have and continue to have stress there.
And we currently, with the data we have, we believe that there is no switching from sugar-free to honey. Those are two different categories.
Yeah.
Okay, that was helpful. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Tejas Shah from Spark Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for the opportunity. So first, if you can help us with some comments on category-wise demand scenario, which category actually surprised you and which in some way disappointed you in the last quarter?
So positive surprise for us was sugar-free. The way it has panned out, it will be probably one of the fastest growing quarters in many years. So we are very happily surprised by that. We've also seen good traction on recovery on brands Nycil and Complan in May and June. And Nycil has shown us good resilience as a brand. So we believe not just sanitizers which topped it up, but even the talc has continued to do very well. So we are quite positive on the future and how this brand has played out. The negatives, I won't say surprised, but we were slightly disappointed because Glucon-D was also recovering well, but due to early monsoon and cyclone in West Bengal, some of our recovery was impacted, and that was a little bit of disappointment for us, and that affected the whole category. So while we continue to drive our efforts and we work pretty hard, but I think it's a larger category impact which held us back. Otherwise, we were hoping to cover up for a reasonable part of last year.
And sir, YOY GM contraction was significant, and what we picked up last quarter from your commentary that there was some raw material tailwind was coming finally to us. So is it because of product mix adverse this time, or higher trade schemes or discounts, or lesser realization relatively?
So GM, actually, if you see, the GM has increased as compared to the last quarter, preceding quarter, and that's because of the benign raw material prices.
But YOY it has contracted by 3 because
YOY it has contracted because of the higher milk prices and RPO prices in the early part of the quarter. Thereafter, it just dropped, and product mix also has played a role.
Okay.
But I think going forward, you will see gross margins improvement because whatever fresh buying we have is at much lower raw material pricing now. So I think going forward, you'll see better realization.
Sure. Second, on fixed cost, if we see, Tarun also called out that there were some cost control measures, but except A&P, other line items had inflationary trend on YOY basis. So any particular initiative that we have taken and still has not shown up in numbers and perhaps will show up in coming quarters?
The fixed costs, particularly the other costs, have gone up because of the one-time hit on account of SAP license and IT infrastructure expenses in the quarter. Rest employee cost is in line with our estimate, and that is largely due to the one-time payments and increments. We also have the Aligarh Union settlement hike because of that employee costs have gone up.
Okay. Would you be able to call out that one-off amount or?
Yeah, it will just be gone.
Okay. And sir, on margins, so obviously this is a very volatile year, and whatever guidance or thought process we had on margins trajectory for the consolidated company doesn't stand true. So as we reset the base this year, what is the 2-year, 3-year outlook on how our margin trajectory will look like in next couple of years?
Are you referring to gross margin?
No. EBITDA margin.
EBITDA, we certainly expect good EBITDA, though it is very difficult at this time to tell you the prediction or the forecast of how EBITDA is going to span out.
But we continue to see improvement in
our EBITDA margin.
I think we stand with this 2-year perspective where we should be close to about 20% over the next couple of years.
So I think if I can just elaborate on 2 other points. One is we believe that with the product mix that we are developing for the future, with the second season that we are planning for in the next 2 years, where we make sales more comparable, and also looking at the whole fixed cost, which when we did the integration, we did scale up our numbers, which will help us scale up our distribution, which is going to happen by end of this year. So we don't see any meaningful further critically large investments in these areas. So over a period of time, you will see a good amount of margin improvement, because I think for the next 3 years, whatever we had to plan in terms of our capabilities on infrastructure, we have done so.
And on new product launches, what we have already launched looks very encouraging and very innovative. So the FMCG sector seems to be divided on NPD for this year at least, because a section believes that since it will be a volatile year and challenging year on supply side, communication, on every aspect, they are actually postponing NPD pipeline to next year. And a section like, it seems we are also part of it, believes that this year should be treated as any other year where NPD should be focused upon. So how do you actually mitigate that? There are supply side volatility. We are hearing another second, third round of lockdowns also happening now, standalone ones. So is this the year? Do you fear that some of the innovations won't actually resonate with consumers and might get lost?
So I think let me take this one. I think we've been very choosy on what we are launching in terms of NPDs, which we believe resonate with the current environment, whether you look at sanitizers or ImmunoVolt. I think Complan Nutrigo is something we worked for almost a year, and we didn't hold it back because we believe it's a long-term play. And even at this time, it may take a little bit harder to build given the challenges in the supply chain or with the external constraints. So it's a long-term play, and we believe there was no point in postponing it. So each of these launches, whether we are doing, I think we've thought it through. Let me take the example of even the chocolate spreads that we're launching in Nutralite. It's going through the e-commerce first. There is a large consumption enhancement which is happening on the e-commerce channel, at-home consumption of food products, and therefore it is focused on that. So each of these, there is sufficient reason for us to succeed even during these challenging times, and that's how we have sustained on those. Large innovations which can get impacted by the environment, which need very large above-the-line investments, I don't think we are getting into any of those launches at this time. So those we will also have to wait, but these are very relevant in the current situation. They are also being sharply targeted at the right set of audience who can take it.
Thanks. This is quite helpful. I'll come back in the queue for more questions. Thanks.
Sure.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Shalini Gupta from Quantum Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, sir. I had a couple, 2-3 questions. One is that this quarter, and you've already mentioned that Nutralite decline came because of no sales in restaurants and things like that. Basically, the institutional sales did not happen. So, sir, what I've observed about Nutralite, it's not just this quarter that it has declined. It has been declining over several quarters now. So, what is the outlook on Nutralite?
I think that data is not correct. Nutralite has been growing over last 3 to 4 years on a consistent basis. In between, yes, there were 1 or 2 quarters when we had a lower growth or flattish number, but otherwise the brand has been consistently growing. I think it came up last quarter also where we mentioned that we did have growth. So we are quite confident on Nutralite growth, and this time it's a specific market construct. But otherwise, Nutralite is showing a pretty consistent growth as a brand.
Okay, so what kind of growth are you looking at, 10% or so?
So on a consistent basis, Nutralite has been doing, and we believe good double-digit growth. It could be, in teens would be a good reference point.
Okay, and then sir, my second question, you had mentioned about some other participants had asked about gross margins. Just want to I had a few questions, more questions. So, I mean, we had milk which was down almost 40%, and palm up about 15%. Yet our gross margins are down. So, if you could just please speak about that again.
Yeah, so gross margins were down because of the key raw material prices hike that I mentioned earlier. Now we have seen that the prices have come down drastically, and we see a real improvement in the gross margin going forward.
So let me explain it better. We produce SMP much earlier in to prepare for the season and everything. So currently we were consuming our SMP stocks which were at the higher milk conversion prices, and now with the lower milk conversion prices, you will see that reflection in the coming quarters.
Okay. Sir, and so I mean, within the raw material basket, which would you say is if you could just rank the products in terms of their contribution to the cost, like number 1 is milk, number 2 is palm, third is sugar. If you could just rank these.
So number 1 is milk. Number 2 will be likely DMH, which is basically a corn-based product for glucose, and number 3 will be oil, RPO, sugar and RPO. These are the top 4 items.
Okay. And sir, what is the outlook on ASP?
So while we intend to maintain our close to 13.5 on an annualized basis investment to sales, I think in these times we will be fairly cautious and we will go by what is right, which the P&L can afford, and also what the market demands, because we've seen early part of last quarter where the supply chains were, if you could supply it, you could sell it. So we're taking a conscious call on this. So nothing specific to guidance in next couple of quarters, but our annualized approach remains consistent, closer to 13 to 14% kind of operations.
Are you asking ASP or ANP?
ASP, advertisement and sales promotion.
Okay. Yeah, so I think Tarun is right in that, and I think we are trying to opt for more digital means of communication right now when we feel though they will get better traction in terms of our brands. Yeah,
so you said 14 to 15. Actually, it is not very clear. You said 14 to 15% of sales, right?
No, 13 to 14% right now.
13 to 14. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Kaustubh Pawaskar from Sharekhan. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thanks for giving me the opportunity, and congrats for a good set of numbers in the tough environment. So my question is on Complan. Recently there is a strong demand for immunity boosting products, and you are now launching pouches. Will it help you to gain market share in the quarters ahead? Because launching LUPs will also open doors for you to get into the rural market and where the penetration is low for HFD. So will it, give you a scope of improving your market share, in the near term?
Yes, we are hoping some of help.
Sorry, sir?
I said I agree that some of these ideas that we are trying now will help improve our penetration and improve market share.
Right, sir. And sir, in quarters ahead, like you said, that sugar-free is doing extremely well for you. It is growing. You have seen recovery in the Complan. Barring these two categories, I guess the rest of the category, for example, Everyuth Pilaf, it is more of a out-of-home kind of a category, and Glucon-D, the season is almost over. And for Nutralite, the institutional portion will take some time to recover. So considering all these factors, so next 3 quarters, in terms of revenues, is it fair to assume that revenue would be more or less flat, or there would be a marginal decline, or you expect, growth rate to come back in the quarters ahead? I'm not talking about quarter 2, maybe second half things would be better than what it was in Q1 and Q2.
We expect the growth to be back for us. Sugar-free Complan take us reasonable part of our revenues in quarter 2 and quarter 3 as the summer season brands come down. And both these brands, we are still hopeful of a positive trajectory going forward. So I think we are still positively disposed towards the growth for the next 3 quarters as well.
Right, sir. And sir, during this lockdown and supply disruption era, did you see any major change in your working capital, or still it is in a comfortable zone?
We didn't see a major change in the working capital. It is still in a comfortable zone. In fact, we have also witnessed better collections on the back of RTGS facility that we have used.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Raj Mehta from PPS Asset Management. Please go ahead.
Thanks for giving me an opportunity. First question is relating to the interest cost. So in the last call, you had said that you are looking at evaluating options to reduce interest cost given that the interest rates have fallen. So if you can give an update on that.
So we are still assessing the opportunities, how we can bring it down. We have been in discussion with the holders of the bonds, and we are trying to lower down our interest cost by buying back by either by the company itself or by affiliate entities or maybe by promoters' family.
Okay. And second question is more on the business side. So in your press release, you said that June witnessed a double-digit growth in revenues. So is it mainly because of the pent-up demand, or you feel that in the current quarter as well that double-digit growth is sustainable?
So I think right now the situation is very volatile. We still believe the growth is possible. We are hopeful of a double digit, but we'll play it as month by month because situation is changing every day, and these mini lockdowns have surprised us. While the industry has learned to live with it, with many of these things, supply chains have improved, but we have to take it every day as it comes. I think growth is still possible. What level of growth, we'll have to wait and watch.
Okay. And my last question is relating to the category growth and the market share data that you share every quarter. So if you could just share that data.
So we don't have the access to the numbers yet because some of the numbers we have not bought into. So once we have that published, we'll share it on our website and to all the investors.
Okay.
On the
Thanks.
industry market share data.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Any participants who wish to ask a question, they may please press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Shirish Pardesi from Centrum. Please go ahead.
Hey, hi Tarun, how are you? I hope everyone at Zydus is safe. I have a few questions. You have made some interesting launches in this quarter. So what I'm trying to see that if you can explain Complan Nutrigo, what we have launched. What kind of audience or penetration or distribution we are looking from this product, or is that extension is to widen our franchise?
Hi Shirish, we're all safe and thank you for asking and hope you are also keeping safe. Our launch on Complan Nutrigo is to cover a gap. I think Complan has been, the franchise extends from 2 to 20 as a focus segment, and 2 to 6 has, over the last 5 to 10 years, has emerged as a separate segment where we thought we were underrepresented. And to address this segment, which has a differential nutrition needs, we launched this product, which is inspired by mother's milk, which has the right amount of protein, which is 50% casein and 50% whey. And since it's a superior nutrition product, we felt it cannot go just by advertising on TV, but we said that we have to leverage our group's strength, which is the using the pharmacy channel and the doctor recommendation. So we have largely focused on the right now the brand will go through the doctor's recommendation route, doctor's prescription route, and mainly focused on the pharmacy channel. And then as it progresses, we'll build it up further. We have about 300 MRs supporting this brand at this stage.
No, I got that point. What I was thinking, just 1 minute, Sharvil.
Yeah, let me add things to what Tarun said. So, everybody, the history of Complan or any of the competing brands have been, they had a very strong medical connect and a doctor connect. And which for Complan, since its transition into different organizations, it has been lost completely. While the other competitive brands have always continued to, talk about medical nutrition and medical education. So we believe that with this product, which is scientifically the right product for the toddler range that we have launched, we believe that we will again regain the commitment of the medical fraternity in terms of its application, and that will help not only obviously grow the current brand, the new launch, but also help overall rub off on Complan mother brand, because scientifically and medically this is one of the most superior products in the market, and we want to communicate it with the right medical education for it. So we believe with more than 300 sales reps detailing it to medical doctors, this will give a further boost to the Complan, and if we see a good traction and movement, which we are very confident of, we could see further extensions by this route.
Yeah, thanks for that commentary, Sharvil. What I wanted to understand, are we going to advertise this scientific claims to make this product more visible in terms of right audience?
No, the new brand, no.
No.
Okay.
So our approach will remain focused on the base Complan, core Complan, on advertising.
Okay. Related question on Complan, if HFD penetration is 24%, to what will be the level of penetration for Complan in current context?
I don't recollect the exact numbers, but my guess is 12%. We'll have to come back and share those numbers too.
Okay. Again, on new product, we have launched this Nutralite Choco Spread. What kind of opportunity is this? And maybe if you can give a highlight, what are the drivers for us to launch this product, and where do we think we have a success in, say, maybe 2 years from now?
So Nutralite as a brand has built itself as a healthier alternative to butter, and we believe our strategy going forward is 2 vectors, and I'll explain the first vector and the other vector maybe a quarter later when we have more products to share. But the first one important thing that we want to extend is being the healthier alternative. I think it can extend itself into all spreads, all kind of spreads that go on the family usage, which could be mayonnaise that we launched earlier, or chocolate spreads. So which are right now substitutes for butter or any other kind of spreads, butter, jams, all those kind of things. So we are focused on providing healthier alternative to some of these spreads. And that's why when we launched mayonnaise, we had done the fortification of mayonnaise. In this, we have launched two variants. One is a calcium enriched, which is a substantially better bioavailable calcium on one variant, and the quinoa enhanced variant, which one knows that quinoa is known for protein, so it is a protein enriched product. So these are two products. In fact, quinoa provides a crunch which makes it even more interesting. So it's a taste and health combination which we are focusing on, and we want to play a larger game in the spreads, mainly through the retail. This one we believe we are starting with e-commerce, then we'll take it to the high-end retail only in the next phase, then we'll take it lower down. The category is relatively small, sub 200 crores, but we can take a valuable share there and overall enhance the usage of Nutralite for the entire family and make it a more interesting brand. There are a few other elements, but that would need a far more detailed answer for this.
So, I think also to talk on the larger, broader strategy, I think we believe in two clear choices, right? One is we strongly believe that we are well positioned to play an important role in the breakfast table. So whatever is the right proposition that we can provide for the breakfast table, I think we have sufficiently well in the share of voice there. So we believe that is one area we will use with Nutralite to build onto that with the other brands that we are there. And I think some of this over a period of time will, make more sense when we are able to be a meaningful part. We have meaningful presence in terms of share of wallet on the breakfast side.
Yeah, thanks for that. So I'm seeing that Nutralite, which predominantly remained for a longer time a zone where we always had a volatile performance, and now we have some new products coming in. Slowly, I'm thinking that now you guys are getting into food space. So is there further things which can come up, subcategories or adjacencies on Nutralite?
Yes, we are working on that, and we should share over the next few quarters. So we want to make it a stronger food brand, but we will share that as we go.
Okay.
But I think just to add to it, I would say over the last 3-4 years, the volatility has been pretty low. Nutralite has been a consistent double-digit growth. 1 or 2 quarters here and there, but largely it's now become a consistent brand.
No, I got that, Tarun. What I was trying to hint at is that our dependence on HoReCa is so high, and whenever this channel has issue, or maybe milk-based butter is cheaper, we see that. So I think after a long time, and I really congratulate the team that we have seen a good traction in that. Because I was trying to build in the confidence myself, is that this continuation of aggression which we have seen on Nutralite will have further legs to move faster.
Yes, Shirish, I think what you say is right, and one, we are looking strategically at our capabilities. We are a very strong, capable company in terms of milk procurement and milk sourcing. While we don't have any intention of getting into milk category, milk directly, but we feel we can do a lot of these things with Nutralite in this space.
Okay. Last question on new product. We have seen that you have also launched the Glucon-D ImmunoVolt. So what kind of audience we are looking in maybe 3 years down the line? What kind of contribution we can look at from this?
It's a promising area. I think we've seen, there are several extensions of Glucon-D that we've been evaluating since the launch, since we got into this acquisition, and we believe that there were at least 3 to 4 good, interesting opportunities. We had this product, the tablets, Volts, already in our kitty, and we were looking at relaunching it to play a more valuable game there. And due to our homework done, when we saw the situation where we could reposition it, we had the vitamin C and D already available. We said we could reposition it as an immunity booster, and that's how we positioned it. We believe there is a sizable play there in the whole candy space, where we are giving immunity as well as energy, and there is therefore scope for a functional product in the candy space. It's a sizable space. We believe it could be anything from a 10 to 15% of the brand over a period of time. We'll have to see. This is a dynamic situation, but we're quite hopeful of growing it well.
Okay. Just last question on what kind of new product contribution we can expect maybe following year? I mean, this will get stabilized, of course, in second half.
So one of the benchmarks that I would look at is my target was that 5% of my revenue should come from products which we launch in 36 months. I was hoping to do that over next 2 to 3 years. I think that number needs to be revisited, and maybe we could do it by next year. I'm hopeful, but we'll see how some of these launches also perform. So this is something we'll be happy to share as things shape up.
Got it. Thank you, Tarun and Sharvil. Thanks for that commentary, and all the best to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Lakshmi Narayan from ICICI Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Couple of questions. First is in terms of priority, you have acquired 3 brands, which is Glucon-D, Complan, and Nycil, right? So which, in your scheme of things, has the highest potential of growth? If you can just stack rank it for the next 5 years.
Hard to distinguish because each brand has a good double-digit growth potential. Nycil has both the years performed fairly well and consistently doing it. Glucon-D has its own growth opportunities. Despite a difficult season this time, we're still very, very positive on growth potential and with extensions that are possible. Complan, of course, has had a much larger play in the past, and just the recovery and regain of share gives opportunity for getting a double-digit growth. So I believe all the 3 brands have opportunities of double-digit over the next 4 to 5 years.
I would just to Tarun, just to add to 2 things. One is we believe that if you look at inherently, both Glucon-D and Nycil will definitely be the strong drivers because they are market share leaders, and we believe that they have very strong proposition to play. Complan, we are the 5th ranked brand, so we have a long way to go on that. But we also have a very strong view that with our capability on formulation research, R&D, and medical education, we can slowly rebuild this brand to its earlier glory days, where it was at about 10 to 11% share. So Complan is a little longer process for us to get back to it because we are not the leader. The other 2 brands, we are very confident that we can continue to gain share.
And that's interesting to know. And in case of Nycil, you're almost 35% of the market, right? Now, and the market continues to grow at 8.3%. So is the market growing faster than for the regular talcum powders, or is it that who is the number 2 and how far are we from number 2 in terms of Nycil? We have around 35% market share, I believe.
So in the functional talc space, which is about 750 crores, we are the leader at 35% kind of share. The category, yes, you're right, over last 2, 3 years, 4 years has been growing at single digits. Last 1.5 years, we've seen growth ahead of the category, and that's been our opportunity where we believe we want to grow the whole category and be the lead in that. And that's where our innovations will play and our proposition will play. And I think the number 2 players are some distance away, so that's not too much of an anxiety for us. For us, the focus is growing the category because gaining will be a short-term view, but to build a brand from a long-term view, like you asked for 5 years, will happen only when we grow the whole category.
Got it. And Glucon-D is also growing at almost 10% growth, right? And what is propelling the growth of Glucon-D? I mean, the category I'm talking about, because it's quite interesting to see a 10% growth in the category.
So it's again a 850 plus crore category where we are the leaders, close to about 59% share. The category has grown due to the mix of value and volume. Volume has come largely on back of, especially in last 1.5 years, there has been some gains on penetration levels, and that is a good story. We believe if we stay on course, focus on getting new users in through better proposition, communicating the benefits of Glucon-D, we can grow the category there also being the largest player, and that will be to everyone's benefit. But right now, the mix is last year has been a mix of volume and value.
Then is Glucon-D growing because of go ahead, sir.
No, I was just going to add 2 points to it. That one is still Glucon-D is a very highly skewed product towards the summer, and our endeavor for the next couple of years is to make sure that we plan for something which we call the second summer, and also plan in the midterm how do we have something more important for the second half of the year. And a lot of innovations are in play to do that. ImmunoVolt is the first one where we believe that it can have more traction throughout the year. But we believe with some more innovations that we will bring, we will have a more balanced sale where we will not be only skewed towards the summer.
And interesting. And just one last question. In terms of the geographical spread of Complan, how is it and what have you done to improve the fulfillment rate in stores and both in terms of availability as well as the SKU assortment?
Sorry, could you please repeat? What have we done to improve?
The first part is the geographical mix of Complan availability, okay? And any color on the mix in terms of modern, etc. That's one part. The second is that from the store fulfillment efforts, right? Anecdotally, we hear that Complan is not available, and if it is available, the assortment is not available, etc. What have you, what is the plan to improve the fulfillment rate of availability as well as the SKU availability?
So I think the geographic mix historically has been the biggest markets for us have been West Bengal and TN. Over last few years, we've seen some northwest markets also of UP, Bihar and Maharashtra also adding substantial value to the brand. So we believe there is potential for growth across the country, of course different by different states. As far as the channels, etc. is concerned, we have a substantial focus on driving the e-commerce channel, which was under-leveraged historically, and we've seen disproportionate growth through the e-commerce. Now, it's further aided by what we've seen in the last quarter lockdown period also where e-commerce has grown, but our efforts had started right when we had acquired and we started integrating the business. Modern trade also, the initial effort was a lot on B2B. We've strengthened our B2C reach on modern trade as well. As far as direct distribution is concerned, we've integrated the whole distribution teams. As we expand our direct distribution together, which has got delayed by a quarter due to these lockdowns, hopefully by end of December 2020 we'll do that. I think we should see a substantial improvement in the retail reach as well. The one focus that we are increasing on within the sub-channels of general trade is chemist availability, which should help. The sachets will also add to the number of outlets that we are available in.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next question is a follow-up question from the line of Tejas Shah from Spark Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, a couple of follow-ups from my side. Tarun, you spoke about sugar-free actually registering very heartening growth after many quarters. Any structural read-through or it was much more tactical buying from?
Tejas, sorry, if you could, not very clear what you're saying.
Yeah. So, is this better? Should I? Is this better? Am I audible?
Yes. Yes.
Hello. Yeah. So, Tarun, on the initial remark, you spoke about sugar-free actually surprising us positively. So, any structural read-through over here, or was it just a tactical buying from consumer side because of the lockdown and all?
So there are two parts. I think the initial recovery on sugar-free did come because there were regular consumers and due to retail, gap, it got covered, stock in pipeline. But what we've seen, one fundamental shift is that consumers are more consuming a lot more food products at home, and it has probably become a part of those people. And as the concern on the fitness, as less people can go out and exercise, they're cutting calories through the right food that they consume. And hopefully some of the people are also more concerned given the comorbidities, and therefore more diabetics are also consuming. So these are the reasons that we have picked up from the whatever consumer interactions we've been able to do at limited level.
Sure. So at least some of these reasons are here to stay, at least for near future.
Yeah, in near future, because that's one of our major concerns, but we believe, yes, some of these will play out over the next few quarters as well.
Sure. Second, Dr. Sharvil actually spoke about, and interestingly, about the advocacy route to the market of MFDs or the nutritional products. Now, there's a new competition in the market who has just taken charge of a very big brand, and they are just redefining the go-to-market strategy over here by using their aggressive stencil of LUPs or more voice share, brand share, distribution share. So, where do we see our strategy in amidst this? Because we, unlike them, we have a very established, because of a parent, very good established MR network and advocacy route. So, do we actually, and then there is another angle that rural penetration will be led by perhaps that strategy, whereas urban will be cracked by through advocacy route. So, where do we want to spend our energy initially as we try to revive some of the market shares there? Hello.
Yeah. So the way we look at it is, I think there are 2 or 3 parts that will play out. I think from a go-to-market, like I explained, we are focusing on only 2 parts, and we'll expand beyond that. One is our core brand, which is clinically proven, and it plays out more in 7 to 15 years of age, where we are using our existing go-to-market plus a bit of advocacy. We are strengthening our, filling up the gaps, whether it was not playing in sachets earlier, strengthening our e-commerce, a better play in modern trade. So there are clearly opportunities within the channels that we service, a stronger play, a better play, more competitive play, so that we are, covering those gaps. We are supporting the brand with the right kind of consumer engagements, whether it is participating with some of the, best of our driving offers, like currently we are running Hot Wheels and Barbie. On the other side, we believe, like Dr. Sharvil explained, the strength of the parent of doing the doctor advocacy, which will have 2 roles. One is establishing, Complan Nutrigo as a standalone variant, especially for 2 to 6 years, and will add to the share that we play, and overall equity of Complan as a superior nutrition provider. So these are the ways that we believe in short to medium term, which will help us compete and gain share. I have mentioned that in next 12 months, I do expect a 50 to 100 basis point increase in share with all these actions in place. And then we will share more as the rest of the parts of the strategy play out.
Great. This was very helpful. Wish all the safety and success to the team. Thanks.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question for today. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Tarun Arora for closing comments. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for participating in this call. Please stay safe, and we'll meet again next quarter.